This discourse definitely got a lot of gamers commenting. It's a game! It's meant to be played! Why are you watching a playthrough instead of playing the game? Several reasons, actually, but for me at least, it's mostly because of time and place. I have 3 jobs that require my undivided attention, including making this video. That earns me some money to survive in this horrific Indonesian economy. I work pretty much 24/7, and the times when I don't work, I read books, I watch films or TV shows, I watch walkthroughs because that's the only way for me to be able to catch up with gaming without sitting in front of the computer and playing them. When I do sit in front of the computer, I'm working or making videos. Granted, not all adults suffer from lack of time to play games, but I do, and yet I still consider myself a gamer. I still play games occasionally when I have time, but progressing the games to completion is another thing entirely. If what I'm saying throughout this whole thing makes me less of a gamer or even not a gamer at all in your eyes, that is perfectly fine. You don't have to consider my opinion valid. I will leave that to your personal judgment, but consider this. The game journalist Dean Takahashi played Cuphead and struggled to get past the tutorial level. Do you want to listen to his opinions about the game just because he played the game? I certainly don't, and I think there should be way more requirements to being a gamer or being a fan of the game than just simply having played the game. It's the bare minimum, no doubt, but gaming is way more than just the gameplay these days. There are plenty of reasons why people watch walkthroughs of games instead of playing them. These reasons are rather debatable. Accessibility, like money. Well, I can't argue with this one. Some games can be pretty expensive. Piracy can help, but that only assumes that the game is cracked or you are comfortable with compromising your PC security through the hypervisor cracks. Age. How is being old limiting you? If it's because you have jobs that take up more of your time, then jobs are the issue, not because you're old. Platform or device. That's fair. Some games are exclusive to consoles, or you don't have a PC or hardware that can run the game. Emulators exist, but that only applies to old games and not new ones. That's fine. Carry on. Regen. This is a very specific issue that doesn't apply to all games, but alright then, I guess I count it. The game is not on the market. Yeah, I don't like that either. Piracy is a solution for this too, but not everyone can pirate, and some old games have terrible compatibility with new hardware and software. Enjoyment, like the game is more story than gameplay, or that the gameplay is lackluster or not necessary. I can see this one. There are loads of cinematic games out there that rely more on spectacle than actual gameplay. Or do people forget about those games? I don't blame them, but remember, just for this purpose, previewing before buying. We're talking about people who watch walkthroughs instead of playing the actual game, not people who are on the fence of buying the game. Among these reasons, I don't see time in there at all. The reason why I don't play games and watch the walkthroughs on YouTube, I don't have time for it. Most of it is allocated for work. That's just me having a job and having a wife and a future kid. Yes, some games can be played on the phones too. Some. Not all of them. I can't play First Light on the phone, that's for sure. And even if I can, it will not be the ideal experience. That's why I watch them on YouTube. Also not the ideal experience, but it's better than crappy touchscreen controls. Yes, I can buy a control attachment for my phone, I get it, but it's a lot easier to just watch it on YouTube. Again, if you think of me less because of that, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind that. I prioritize my real life way more than what strangers consider a gamer or not. What I do mind is when you talk about video games and you have no idea what you're talking about. And believe me, there are loads of people that are like that online. Some people are defending the gaming hobby way too much, to the point where they are blinded by what gaming can actually accomplish. Story is the most important thing in literally zero games games beyond visual novels. Whoa, okay. You are so much on the defensive that you have turned into a genuine elitist. It really doesn't matter whether you play the games or not. You can play games and still make a take this horrendous and factually inaccurate. This kind of take right here is way more concerning than the people who say that they never played the games that they claim to be a fan of. At least they acknowledge that the story is important. The people that say that there are literally zero games that have important stories are the people that play multiplayer games, the balls and guns gamers. Of course the story isn't important in those, but if you're telling me that there are zero games where the story is just as important as the gameplay, that clearly shows how clueless you are on the capabilities of this medium. If the gameplay didn't matter, they wouldn't spend the money to develop it. They'd make a comic or a show instead. The gameplay does matter, and so is the story in a lot of games. That's why they hire writers and actors, even in games where the story doesn't really matter that much. Or did you completely miss that? You think walking around and fighting random monsters is more important in Undertale than the story? Oh, wow. I guess you didn't know that killing monsters in Undertale fundamentally changes the ending of the game. There is a morality system in the game, one that you should recognize if you played the game or even watched any walkthroughs or do any research, and you must make choices in the game to get to the endings. The last time I checked, the ending is pretty important to the story. Like I said, I don't care whether you play the game or not. I do care if you have no clue what you're talking about. And boy, in both sides of this discourse, the gamer and the non-gamers, there are loads of people who clearly have no idea what they're talking about, but they are very confident that they do. And that, in my opinion, is way more concerning. The one thing that shocks me on this non-gamer being a fan discourse is the fact that it turns to a classism debate. You need to play games to be a fan. It's a classist propaganda. How is that classist propaganda? There's no classism in that whatsoever. It's just people asking the bare minimum, and I don't blame them to ask that at all. I just think there should be way more standards of what we consider a gamer other than they played the games. I don't care how you consume your game medium. All I care about in this discourse is that you know what you're talking about. There are game journalists and even YouTubers that have played the games and still have horrible takes about them, that are straight up factually inaccurate or unhelpful criticisms that do not contribute to the betterment of the game at all. All I ask is for you to prove that you are a fan. Show your passion towards the fandom. Show your love towards it. Prove that you are a fan way more than the people that have played the games but have zero clue what they're talking about. Here's an example of a game that I'm a fan of, despite having never played it. Sonic 06 is one of my favorite Sonic media, but not because of the gameplay, because it's trash. I am a fan of it because of the story. It has the best version of Shadow in any Sonic media that I have seen. The story with Silver is fantastic. Mephiles is an amazing Sonic villain. The story with Sonic and Princess Elise can absolutely go to hell because it's garbage. Not because of the disgusting hedgehog and human romance, but because they have no romance at all. And Amy is literally there just letting all that happen, which is completely out of character for her. I have never played the game, and you shouldn't because the game is garbage, but I love Sonic, and there's a genuine sense of passion and love towards some parts of the story that I can see out of this game that you won't see if you play the game and quit 10 minutes in. And I don't blame you for doing that because Sonic 06 is absolute dog poo. Invalidate my opinions all you like, but I will never shut up about how much I recognize all the hidden emeralds of Sonic 06. I don't have to suffer through the gameplay, and frankly, that's a good thing. The same can be said to Resident Evil 6. Great story, great action, epic showdowns, fantastic set pieces, best version of Ada Wong hands down. Trash gameplay. Absolutely trash gameplay. I don't have any problems with non-gamers who watch games on YouTube. I have problems with people who have no idea what they're talking about. I hate when people rehash the "you can't be a fan of the game without playing it" because it always devolves in just crapping on poor people. What are you talking about? I literally never see that happen around this discourse. Heck, I live in a third world country. I've experienced poverty, but even I can still be able to play the games that I want to play. This isn't a classism issue. This is a desperate validation issue. And to all the non-gamers out there who just watch YouTube for it, why do you need the gamers' validation? Just say what you think about the game and be done with it. Just emulate, bro! Most modern games have such big specs that getting a device to run them is already an undertaking! Yes, if we're talking about modern games, but for older games that you can play on your phones, emulating them is definitely a solution. Sure, I'm gonna risk breaking my only phone or PC just because I don't want to be called a LARPer! You won't break your phone or PC just because you're trying to emulate games. Emulating games are some of the safest things that you can do with your phone or PC. If you think that you risk breaking your devices, then you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And that is way more of a problem in this discourse than the people who don't play games. I get being a non-gamer that watch walkthroughs on YouTube, but I don't get saying nonsense like this. I guess I'm no longer a fan of Until Dawn after it being my favorite game for years and watching tons of different gameplays just because I can't afford it. You can't afford Until Dawn? I have no problems with you watching the playthrough of Until Dawn. That's what I did too. People played the whole game just going through the golden ending where everyone survives. Actually, a lot of games by Supermassive might as well be watched on YouTube. I do have a problem with you saying that you cannot afford it. That is straight up nonsense. Wishlist this game on Steam or PlayStation and wait until the notification of the game being on sale comes up. You can even get them for free using PS Plus or the 7Cs. People online saying they're a fan of the game doesn't affect you in the slightest. They don't. If anything, I actually agree with them. What does affect me are the people that say absolute nonsense, like not being able to afford a game that you are a fan of, especially when it's an old game that you can get through discounts or even piracy. It's one thing to not being able to afford to play Half-Life Alyx, because that game requires all sorts of expensive hardware. It's another thing to not being able to play a game that is out on most major gaming platforms and is on sale very frequently. What I'm saying is that it's not that you can't afford it. It's that you don't want to afford it. And that's perfectly fine. I don't want to buy a lot of the games that I watch on YouTube as well, but don't say that you can't afford it. You can. You just chose not to. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.